Okay, hello and welcome to video 2. What we're going to be doing in this video again is we're going to be basically taking a character and splitting it apart in a way that's similar to what we see over here. Again, we're going to focus on, at least for the head, to keep the head element separate from the eyebrows, eyes, and mouth. And for the body, we want to at least have a minimum of the main body itself, though separate hips could potentially be helpful. Different crotch wouldn't be a bad idea, but the most important part is to make sure that we have our legs, the upper and lower areas, the foot, and of course the arms. Now, unfortunately, the hand cannot be replicated the way that we're going to be doing it, so we're going to have to make a second hand. But the good news is it shouldn't be too difficult of a task if we go around it the right way. So I'm going to minimize this because I don't need this anymore. And I'm going to open up this, animate. Now I'm going to create a new format. I'm going to use the same one we've been using previously. I'm going to make it 1280 by 720 with a frame rate of 24 frames per second. I'm currently using Animate 2020, so just something to kind of keep in mind. As one thing I found out the hard way is some of the tools that we need will not be visible right away. So I definitely want to show that first. So created my interface. Now what you're going to notice, and the part that's going to be very confusing at first, is the pen tool and the paintbrush tool will not be available right away. So that actually was a bit of a shocker to me when I first started recording this video. So to bring those back up, because you're going to find that those are going to be very helpful for this, if you go to the edit toolbar, it's basically these three little dots that are over here. This will get up anything that wasn't put inside the toolbar previously. Then all you should need to do is just click and drag this to an empty spot if you can find one. What I do myself is, since I really don't use this fluid brush tool, don't really have a use for it, at least for now, I can bring this over, bring this on top of the brush tool, and bam. Basically it temporarily replaces it, although if you ever need to bring that back, it's still there. This area is just below it. So that's one section you can do. And I'm going to do the same thing for the pen tool. Basically take the pen tool over here. And again, I don't really use the pencil tool that much, if at all. So I'm just going to lose that by just clicking and dragging the tools that I need. And I'm going to put the other ones in the same area. Oops. There we go. And definitely don't forget this one. The most important one is probably going to be your pen tool at this case. So I'm just going to leave that open for now. So if you take a moment to basically set up what you need to, it will make a couple of elements way easier in the future. Yeah, that's pretty much it, at least for there. So next, now we can actually get down to business. If you go to File, and to import the picture, because I actually am going to take a little picture that I had made previously, or that I had made previously by, again, artist Jessica Daouz, and I'm going to bring that in by using File, Import. And in this case, I'm going to import this straight to the stage, not the library this time. And the character's name is Charlie. Bring that in. Now, you could do one of two things. You could basically bring this in as a flattened layer if you want to go this route, or you can keep them as editable layer styles. Whatever method you want to go with, that should work okay. But yeah, I'd like to try and keep this as simple as possible. So I'm just going to keep this as is. And I'm going to import that. Now I see that I have some, now when it's imported, it's actually going to import this not just here, but also the library as well. In fact, all the different layers can be found over here. But I don't really need all of this, so I'm just going to take a moment to delete what's unnecessary. In this case, that's just this extra layer 1 that's here. But at least I have a good starting point. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend my canvas so that it goes a little bit further down. Again, it doesn't really matter how big the canvas is, at least to get started. The important part is that we just bring in our reference. And again, for most of our purposes, we're going to be going with more of what I like to call that sitcom view. So that's basically what I would recommend everyone make at this time. And if you have that on your model sheet, all the better. So yeah, I'm going to modify, and I'm going to go to Document, And I'm going to go to the very top area over here. Again, you could double check to make sure your frame rate says 24. And I'm going to actually make the height, because that's the problem, 1280. And hit OK. So that's going to go a little bit further down. This actually should work out for what we're doing. I'm going to click and drag the whole shebang and just move this semi in the middle. Now when it comes to the actual elements that we have over here, we're not going to need to copy every single little detail, but we will need to make sure that we get just the areas that are required. So I'm just going to zoom in. Cool. And I'm going to lock up what I don't need to use. Excellent. So this way I don't accidentally move this by mistake. Okay, so now that my reference is in here, I can start tracing up. So if I want to keep both these areas, I can. Of course, that helps out in this case. But I'll just focus on, let's see, where do I want to focus on first? Well, I can focus on getting the head first, since that's going to be a little bit on the easier side, or should I say simpler side. And again, I can use either the brush tool. Of course, it might help if I make sure that my properties are really low. To basically make this work. And of course, I can double check my stuff to make sure everything's working the way it's supposed to by going over here and readjusting and changing when necessary. I think in this case, the pen tool might be a bit of a better choice. Now again, I'm making this under the assumption that for whatever reason, I can't use a stylus or Wacom. So basically the way I could start this is I could start over here and then just kind of circle around up to this area over here, as this is all going to be filled in with brown. So let's give that a try. Again, I'll do the pen tool for this so I can get some better accuracy. Just give this area a quick little tap. Click and drag, tap, click and drag, tap, click and drag, tap. Again, this is why the pen tool is a little bit more ideal if you have to use the mouse, because I can click and drag a huge chunk of the way. There we are. Now again, while it does work in an ideal fashion like so, it doesn't exactly work too well if you have to draw more of a frame-by-frame method. So that's one of the reasons why we really didn't use it too much before. But again, if you're in a situation where you don't have access to a mouse, or sorry, a tablet, this is a viable substitute. And I'm almost done already with at least the hair. Again, I could use this over here to make adjustments. Okay, so that looks pretty good overall, at least from what I'm seeing. But again, the nice thing about this is if you're not satisfied, you can still make adjustments after the fact. But I think I'm good overall, at least for that part. Now again, the head, or should I say the face, is going to be a big factor in this too, so I definitely want to get that as well. So I'm going to make myself a new pen tool. And I'm going to start a little bit close, but not really touching that little tip area. And then just get close to the edge. Then once that's done, I can actually touch the edge manually. There we go. Do the same thing over here. Just click and touch. Bam. And the nice thing about this too is if I ever need to fix this up a little later, I can do that. And then I can just get the nose. Now this one, I'm confident enough that I could probably get that with the brush. Let's see here. And of course, if you ever need to get rid of any part of these dots, not that difficult to do. There we are. Cool. And of course, you could always take a quick look just to make sure everything is going okay, which it looks like it is. The nice thing about doing this way as well is there's a pretty high chance that you can cover up all those areas with relative ease. So now that everything's covered up and my head's ready, I can take this opportunity to basically fill this in. So I could do that with the paint bucket tool. Yep, there we go. Oh, that's the ink tool. Yep, here we are. Other one they kind of hid on us, but that's okay. And yeah, I'm going to bring back my colors, actually, because I just wanted to see how that looked. Now again, I don't need to worry about keeping this too long because, well, I'm going to be making the other parts a little bit separate, so that's going to be fine. But let's see. Oh yes, if you need the color for, ooh, there we are. I could actually easily get this over here. It's one of the reasons why this is kind of nice to be able to do it this way. So you could just actually just click your area with relative ease. And then just fill that in. There we are. Of course, it helps if you actually have the layer selected. And I'm going to try to fill this in right now. That should hopefully be able to fill in without too much of a problem. And there's my little Norton thing. Okay, so looks like there might be an empty spot over here, or a spot that might be a little bit too open. And since that might be the case, I'm going to just go to my little gap size area over here, close large gap, and bam. And of course, I could always fill that in on my own. But pretty much everything else looks like it's in good order. And I could make the other colors and so on by either using one of the swatches, or I can alternatively just make these myself. So if I go into hue and saturation, maybe add a little bit more of a red, lighten this up just a smidge. I'm kind of happy with that. Okay, of course I could always change it up later. The beauty of having something vector. Okay, all right, you know what? I think I'm okay for this for now. And as I said before, once you put it in the library, it can be adjusted and changed later. But I'm pretty happy with the results that I have so far. So what I want to show next is, once again, review how to make something into a symbol, because that part is going to be pretty important. Okay, so now that I have my head, I can select the actual head itself. Now make sure you're using the black arrow, aka the regular selection, and then you can go to Modify, Convert to Symbol. So again, once you have your object made, Modify, Convert to Symbol. And then you can name it whatever you want. In my case, I'm just going to call this head for obvious reasons, or yeah, actually head works fine. And I could go to my little type here. Again, each of these have different buttons for very specific purposes. Movie clip is if you wanted to have a movie clip in here. Button is obvious if you want some interactivity. But we don't want anything really fancy here. We just want this as a graphic. So I'm going to go to the graphic option over here and just hit OK. And the moment that I do this, it goes right into my library, and I could use this over and over and over again. And that's pretty much the main reason why a person would want to use this in the first place. So please keep that in mind when making your different shapes. And now that it's here, I don't really need the head in here anymore, so I could actually lose this and then bring back my other objects. Okay, so you saw how the head could be made. Now let's get into some of the other elements. So what I could do next is I could make myself upper body like so, and I could eventually have the arm kind of covering this. So what I'll do in this case is I'm going to actually make a little bit of a body that's going to start over here, go around, although I will make the little spot for the neck, because again I did say it did have to have a neck, and let's give him permission that you didn't, obviously. Then go around, round out the back, because the arm is basically going to cover this section, and then go right to my belt. And I'll basically keep the belt itself mixed in with the lower body. So this is how it can work. If you feel comfortable enough with your skills, and if you think you have the general idea, you're more than welcome to kind of go on ahead and kind of make this on your own. If you still need to see how some of these elements can be made, you're more than welcome to keep up with the video. Okay, so once again, I'm going to be using my pen tool. Again, when given the option, obviously you would want to draw this, but when you don't have the option, you make do with what you can. And I think that this could actually work out pretty nicely. And wouldn't be a bad idea to zoom in a little bit. And just making sure that this is black. Yep, it is. Okay, so starting here. And I'm just, again, going to help make this little neck area. Just going to click and drag this over. Look at this area over here. Give this area a quick little tap. Going to click and drag around here. Now, in this case, you have to basically make a judgment call and just try to make this area the best that you can. And then I'm going to click and drag below the belt. Give this area a quick little tap. Click and drag. And again, if you do need to change anything after the fact, that is still possible to do. And remember, Command Z and Control Z are your friends, depending on what system you're working on. Now, something you'll notice if you ever need to move something, if you zoom in really close, it really helps with this whole process. Very cool. Again, I usually keep this area rounded because it helps if you need to rotate the upper body a little bit, similar to what we saw with the examples we saw previously. And this area we basically want to keep for the back. And again, if we do need to change up a thing or two, that won't be too difficult to attempt. But I think this is going to be a really good start for us. In fact, I don't really need this one, so I'm going to delete that anchor because I don't need it. Cool. But this one I definitely do. Again, if you have to zoom in a little bit so that you can move a spot, then so be it. Again, I'm using the pen behind, or sorry, the anchor tool to round that out just a little bit more. There we are. Cool. So that's that part of the body. Now I'm going to need to make an area specifically for the little partner chest, so that's not going to be too difficult. Once again, I usually would start kind of close. There we are. And click and drag. Give this area a tap. Click and drag, and then give this area a tap. Again, fix up what's necessary. Now try to connect this if it's possible. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. And yeah, there's going to be some situations, if you want to, you could even start off with a line, kind of like what I'm doing over here. I'm just using the little line tool, just going from left to right. And what I could do afterwards is I could always add the point afterwards here. And then I could use the convert to basically get this up like so. Cool. So it basically has the gist of what I was looking for. Again, it's not a bad idea every so often to hide what's unnecessary. But I think, yeah, this probably could. Go a little bit more. Yep, there we go. Okay. Now, to kind of wrap these parts up, I do have to color this part in. Now, even if you have something that's white, you still need to color it. So in this case, I'm going to take the, this time I'm taking the classic brush tool. The reason why I'm taking this versus the other brush that I have over here is I just need to fill up this hole, and having something that's more of a shape actually can help that out much greater. So basically just changing the this to white and just clicking from point A to point B. Now if everything works the way it's supposed to, I should be able to use the paint bucket tool and just fill that in like so. Now if you're not sure if it actually worked, that's when you can go to modify and change the background color to pretty much anything. Ha! Worked perfectly. So, and this is exactly this is the direction you kind of want to go with this. Again, this area over here will be able to be worked with the arm itself. And yeah, for the little part over here, as you saw from my example, I used a brown like this. Oops, make sure I have that. And if you can't see it, you can always bring back the head temporarily. And now we definitely see it. Now again, this is still on that new layer that I made for myself. I'm not going to work on the ones that I had previously. I haven't even bothered naming this because I don't want to name it. I want to make sure that this is exactly the way it needs to be. So let's... Yep, so I got my brown in there. And I just realized I need the actual skin color as well. So... bam, and I'm going to fill that in over here. So yeah, that definitely is one massive advantage for using this tool, is the fact that you can actually adjust and change that relatively easy. And but there's my body. Before I actually go to the next step, and I'm actually going to change this back to, no, actually I'm going to keep it like this for now. There we go. So that's pretty much the way that I wanted this to look, so I'm pretty good. All right, so now that I have that and I've verified that everything's working okay, I can click and drag the whole shebang. Make sure again that you're in the selection tool when you're doing this. Modify, convert to symbol, and I'm going to call this upper bod. And bam, there's my dude, or dudette, technically. And she's good. Okay, so I'm going to do the bottom area over here, similar fashion, basically just make what's necessary. In this case, I am going to leave this area a little bit more open. And the crotch area that I have over here, I'm probably going to make that as a separate element just to be on the safe side. So this way I can have this back leg and this front leg completely separate. And again, have the look that there is a crotch in that section. So let's actually begin. And again, if you want, it all is up to you on how you want to approach this. Simplest way, as I said before, at least if you don't have a tablet in Styli, is just use your your mouse and your pen tool. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit first. Actually, before that, since this is a little bit further outwards, I think it would be in our best interest to make this area first. So still the pen tool. This is where the leg's going to be. And this is where we'll have it start. Click and drag. Click and drag. Again, this area you can round out, but it's not really going to make as much of a difference. And click and drag like this. Click and drag in the bottom like so. Click this area over here. And actually, I might not even need a crotch, although I could always add one in later, because I could probably just keep the leg over like so to make that work. It's one of the reasons why I didn't say the crotch was absolutely necessary, but a round area over here is. So I'm just adding my dot and using this tool to go down like so. Excellent. And again, if you find out later that it isn't working so great, it can always be changed later. In fact, one of the things I'm going to do a little bit later is I'm going to show you how you can fix this up in case there's some shenanigans going on. What are shenanigans? Trust me, when you see it, you'll know it. But mostly, because I just realized that probably isn't a satisfying answer, it's when like color might be seeping out, or maybe one of these strokes is not working out the way that it could at its best, or in like what we have in here, that maybe this area shouldn't be a corner. Well, I can fix that after the fact. There we go. Cool. And this always could be adjusted later. Okay, so we got that part first. So what I could do next is I could do the hips, but before I do that, because I might have to just erase this entirely anyways, but I do want to get the white area now. So just going to, once again, use my brush. Oops, not sure how that was made. There we are. Ah, yes, I just realized that, let's see. I'll make this white instead. Oop. Sorry about the delay. It looks like this is being a little bit ornery. Sometimes trying to select this just the right way can be tough. So deselecting this entirely. I'm going to make this white, and I'm going to make this white. So now when I go to the paintbrush tool, I should be able to go from point A to point B. Okay, fantastic. So now that that's done, I can use the paint bucket tool, give it a fill, bam, done. Okay, now I'm not quite done yet, as you saw before, because I still need to make this belt. Well, I should be able to do so with relative ease by using the pen tool. Just to see this area a little bit easier, I am going to select these points over here and just bring them down temporarily. And once again, just click that area, click and drag. Try to make sure that your stroke basically follows the way it's supposed to. And there we go. So I'm not giving too many of my instructions on here because at this point, I think pretty much almost everyone knows how to use the pen tool and so on, so I'm not as concerned. Then I can make myself a little bit of a circle on top of this. Let's see, bring this over here, bring this over here. On second thought, I kind of like what I was doing better. Nope, I'm just going to lose this. I was hoping that I could use the shape, make that easier, but I don't think it's going to be worth the effort. So, when it isn't worth the effort, just might be better to just make it manually. And let's see here. Cool. And also remember that if necessary, like for example, I want to get rid of this black area, I should be able to just delete that outright, but the other parts still remain pretty decent. Yep, there we go. So now I should be able to add that color in, just basically select the color itself, and then just go to town. Cool. And of course, if you still need to add or adjust elements, that still is possible. So what I could do at this point, just to kind of finish this off, is I can use the regular selection, select only what's necessary. Delete that, and then just move these areas up. Of course, you might need to get rid of a couple sections, but we'll get to there. I think that's one of the hardest parts in this, is trying to fix up some of these last sections, but yeah, pretty much everything looks like the way it's supposed to, minus this, of course. Let's see if we can fix that up a little bit. Yeah, there we are. Fantastic. Okay. So that looks pretty much where we wanted this to be. I could probably wrap this up or do that a little bit, fix that up a little bit later. But there we are. And of course you can make sure that's all selected by making sure that it has this kind of look to it. Of course, wouldn't be a bad idea to turn off some of those elements just so you can see what you're doing. That's looking pretty nice. And yeah, same thing that I did before. Hold on one sec. No, I guess that is correct. Okay, and then just go to modify. Oh, of course, you have to make sure you select your stuff. Modify, convert to symbol. I'll call this lower body. And I can now get rid of this. Fantastic. Okay, and again, you just rinse and repeat for the other parts. Once again, if you feel confident enough, you can stop at this point. If you'd like to see some more, which I totally would recommend, then please feel free to keep watching. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to do one of the more simpler elements, and that's going to be not so much simpler, but one of the smaller elements, and that's going to be the arm. Now, I just want to review over here just basically what you're trying to go for. When it comes to the arm itself, you basically want to make sure that the bottom part over here is a little bit open and whatever color your shirt happens to be at that time, while this area over here, I'll see if I can zoom in so you can see this a bit easier. Oh, I could just use this. Has a dark and rounded area so that this part can rotate and such. So if I was going to do this myself, I would once again use the pen tool. Click over here. Click and drag. Here's where the elbow would be. Round out this section. Click here and then just basically go to the very top section like so. Now I might want to pull out down this area for the rounding, but otherwise I think we pretty much have it, so pretty happy about that actually. And again, when we actually do the test, we might need to make some adjustments, but we'll get to that. But yes, so the next part, using the classic brush. Again, the reason why I'm using the classic brush instead of any other tool is I want this to be a shape, not so much a stroke. You could do the stroke if you want to, but this ends up working a little bit better for us. But let's see here. Going over here, choosing the white, and then just going from point A to point B. And once that's done, I can easily use the paint bucket tool. This should be able to fill in like so. Perfect. So that's pretty much it there. So who knew the arm was actually not that bad to do? Well, so far. Okay, so I am going to convert this to upper arm. So modify, convert to symbol, make sure it's still a graphic, which it is. I'll call this upper arm. And again, the nice thing about this is we can actually make it so that it can work for both the left and the right. So that does make things a little bit easier. If you want to, you could make the arms specific for each part, but this will save you a couple minutes. Okay, so upper arm's ready. And yeah, I'll just make the lower arm now. Again, I can just delete this temporarily. And this lower arm, this is going to be a little bit trickier because I do have fingers here. I'm sure that everyone loves drawing fingers. You can hear the sarcasm in my voice there. But they are important. So that's one of the reasons why this is good. So just basically going over here, looking over here. If necessary, zoom in so you can see what you're doing a little bit better. Yeah, that's way better. And going back to the pen. Click and drag. click and drag. And I might have to actually turn this into a corner, but that's okay. That's one of those things you definitely want to double check after everything's done. And yeah, still could potentially use a little bit of adjustments over here. And just some of those top areas, I think I'll just corner those by using the convert. By the way, it's been a while since I've saved. It might be a good idea to save right now. After all, you wouldn't want to have to do this again. So I'm going to name this, let's see, Charlie Prime. And the reason why I'm calling this Charlie Prime is because if I need to make more animation, this is where the main default of Charlie is going to be. But again, I almost broke my own little rule there, and that would have been bad. Bad nothing, that would have been devastating. So try not to tempt fate and save often. Doesn't look like that's going to be working too well. Oh well, that should, I'll just use the regular part and just wrap up what I need to. This actually should still work. Cool. Now I just need to make the glove area. And let's see, just going to add in ink. There we are. Okay, so basically just need to make that section over there. I'm going to try to do this with the paintbrush tool this time. See if I can do that. Because the paintbrush tool, even if you use a mouse, still has its uses. But I ain't going to lie, it's going to be way easier with an actual style eye and Wacom. That should do it. Okay, so basically first, gonna use the paint bucket tool, fill that in. Cool. And then for this area, as stated before, use the classic brush tool. Of course, make sure that the color is actually correct. Bam. And then I could use the paint bucket tool to fill that in. Fantastic. Okay. Now, it wouldn't be a bad idea for me to give this a little bit of a test run. So what I'm going to do is once I turn this into the proper lower arm, I can give this spot a little bit of a test. Okay, so the way that it usually works is the upper arm would usually come first. And what we could do here, this is just a quick demonstration, is we can bring this part up, and this is where our rotation is going to be. The lower arm would come down here, and the rotation would be where the elbow would rotate. The hard part is making sure that you put it in the most optimal place. You might have to zoom in to do that. But if it's done in the correct manner, that basically means that both, you could basically rotate this like so, and that this one would be rotated in a similar fashion. It makes a little bit more sense when you actually see the rotation done in real time, but this is basically how it's going to be approached. So it takes a little bit of patience to get that looking right, but it's well worth the effort. So the good news is, again, I already have my one hand done, and I do need to do the other hand, but I'm going to wait until a bit for that because, well, I want to make sure I can get into the leg and that I can get into the foot. All right, bringing my stuff back. Okay. So what I would do for the actual leg itself is, again, you could either take the one leg or the other. Again, since it's going to be more of a sitcom view, probably this foot could actually be a little bit more universal, as in I could use it for standing, and I could also use it for walking as well. So to do this, I would basically select the leg itself and just try and replicate this similar to what I did for the upper arm. So basically, again, using the pen tool, and I would start somewhere around here. Oop, don't know why I did that, but click and drag. Here's where the knee's going to be. Bring this down a little bit, click and drag. Click and drag slightly. Click and drag. Oop. And I don't even need to really bring this over so much. In fact, I'm just going to take this little area over here, bring this up a little higher. If it's not working out so great, just deselect and reselect. Once again, you can use the regular classic brush tool. Click and drag up and over. Yep. And just fill that in after you're done. Of course, if you need to make adjustments, that still is a possibility. In fact, I'm actually going to do that right now. And again, if you find that it doesn't work out so great, you can always make adjustments after the fact. Modify, convert to symbol, call this upper leg, and bam. Then I could do the lower leg. Ideally, you would want to actually separate the foot and the leg over here, so I think I'm going to actually try to do that myself, just so that this foot can actually rotate a little bit better. I didn't really do that for the hands because I really don't need to do that yet. Okay, so that's fine. So next would be this area over here. Yeah, as I said, I do want to keep these separate. So what I would do in this case, it is going to be a little tricky, but still doable. Here's where the knee is going to be. Again, click and drag till once it gets to the foot. Click and drag, click and drag, click and drag, and stop it right here. Okay. Once that's done, I once again could use the classic brush, bring it from one side to the other. And if you're not sure if it's actually working correctly, feel free to zoom in a little bit to double check. So there we are. I'm clicking and dragging from point A to point B. There we are. So now I should be able to basically fill these in. I do need to add an extra line over here. I'm going to try and actually use the paintbrush tool for this instead. I'm going to see how that worked. Cool. Now again, any area that's going to have a little bit of a bend area or rotation, the top area usually should be the section that's rounded. It will make a couple parts a bit easier. So that's looking pretty good. Happy with that. Okay, so I would, at this point, use the fill option. And the top part's going to be white, as you can see here. Bottom part is going to be brown. So again, my easiest bet is selecting that manually, using the eyedropper tool, and then just going to town. Perfect. I could go to modify, convert to symbol, and call this lower leg. Then the last step that I have here is the actual foot itself. And just would make the use the pen tool to make this. And again, if things get a little bit strange, you can always fix this up. I'm going to have this go a little bit higher if I can. The reason why I'm bringing this a little higher than the original planned is, again, if I need to rotate it, I have a little bit of a buffer and leeway. And it looks like I accidentally made a extra layer, camera layer by mistake, but I just fixed that. Let's see here. Okay, so I just need to fix this up again. There we are. There we are. And once again, basically just make a little bit of a bridge between one area of the foot to the other. Very cool. And then just fill this one in. Oh, almost forgot I have to add that little part for the boot. Well, that shouldn't be too difficult. Famous last words, I know. But I should be able to fill this in. Cool. There we go, and just said it before, I'll say it again. If I ever find the person who made the undo button, I owe them a lunch. Fantastic. Well, then that looks like it should be good. Should be able to fill this in at this point. Fantastic. Okay, so this is going to now be considered my leg. Oop. Looks like this darker area needs to go up just a smidge more. There we are. There we are. Okay. I'm just going to call this foot. Okay. So once again, the purpose of doing it this way is third time's the charm. Is so that eventually I could basically bring all these parts together. So what I would do first is I could bring the upper leg. Yep, here we are. Over like so. Then I could bring the lower leg over like so. Then, ladies and gentlemen, when you're done with the tool, always go back to your regular selection. It makes your life a lot easier. And once again, I can change the pivot point over here, and I will be doing that, so that when I rotate this leg, you should be able to see, yeah, the knee like so. So that's one of those parts that you have to kind of do a little trial and error to make sure you have the right spot for this, and also to make sure that the areas are out as far as they need to be. So that takes a little bit of trial and error when you're doing this, but remember, just have this go out as far as you think you need to. Then you do the same thing for the foot. Basically just bring this over like so, put this over, and yeah, oh, important safety tip, make sure your pivot point's where it needs to be. But again, you're only going to move it forward and back as far as an actual foot can really go. So don't worry about going too crazy with this in terms of your rotation. If you ever need a reference, always take a look at your own anatomy to make sure it's actually working okay. Now, I still need to make some adjustments and changes, but as stated before, I could potentially use this for both the left and right leg. If you're not too keen on this, like for example, that back section looks like it could be a bit of a problem, you can always make a leg specifically for that part. So, but anyways, so I got most of my different body parts done. Now I just would have to do the other leg. Actually, I just want to see what this looks like together. And actually, if I was doing that, I would basically work from the back area going forward. So let's see. So the first place that I would go to is upper bod, then lower bod would be over here, and then my head would go on top. Relatively easy peasy. Same thing for the arm. First I bring the upper arm, and the lower arm below that. And then, of course, as I stated before, I can actually recycle a spot if necessary. So, for example, the upper arm over here be brought to the other side. Then you could use a transform, and you could actually flip this horizontally. And thus, you have your arm for your other side. Of course, it usually helps if you put that arm in first. So I'm just going to cut this and then paste special. So now this should go on top of there. And that's again how you can recycle some of your elements so you don't have to make the same object over and over again. Hopefully you'll find that this is going to be helpful for most of the stuff that you need to do. Now the face we've already done, so I'm not going to go too much into that. And plus, some of these details shouldn't take too long anyways. So, but yeah, so if I was making the lips, there we are. Then that's pretty simple, at least in this case. I can even use my paintbrush tool to just make myself a little bit of a smile. I'm not satisfied with that. Yeah, and again, if you're not satisfied with something, work with it until you are. There we are. That looks way better. And I could just put this as smile or neutral. I'm going to go with smile with this one because it definitely looks more like a smile. So convert to smile. But then I'd have to figure out a one for something that's a little bit more neutral. Well, I could do that by, once again, using the pen tool. And that could be more of a neutral mouth. And of course, I added that little extra point in the middle to help out with that. But again, all this was done before, so if you feel comfortable with this, you can stop at this time. But I'm just going to like wrap up some of the parts for the eyes and just a couple things I probably would recommend. So I'm going to convert this to symbol. I'm going to call this neutral mouth. And of course I can adjust and change that later. Okay, so I'm going to do the eyebrow here. There we are. And of course, fill that in. There we are. And I'm just going to convert that to L-brow. Now, I got to be honest. Again, you could make the eyebrows separate from each other, or you could basically make them the same. I'll leave that to you. There we are. But I'm kind of digging how this is going. So I'll just go there. And for the other brow, I'll just again make that. And fill that in. Cool. So if that one is my eyebrow, and by the way, I'm doing this on her left, not mine. So this would be the right side of her. Modify, convert to symbol. Or let's see, R brow neutral. And then for the eye, well, this one I'll definitely have to do in pieces. But again, it's not going to be that bad. Okay. That's the first step. Here's the second. hit V to get out of there. And let's see. P is still pen tool, so if you want to use that, you can. Just have to make a bit of an adjustment here, but otherwise not too shabby. And then do the same thing on the other side. Last thing about the pen tool here I got to admit is if you do add in an extra spot, that's not too bad here. On second thought, I'm going to actually make this part separate because I kind of want the pupil to be separate in here. So that's actually not too bad. And that was just something I was just thinking myself. If I want to basically make it so that the eye can move around, it would be to my benefit to kind of keep the actual pupil over here and the actual eyelid and bottom area separate. So going to, once again, use this and just add a little bit of white going from here to here and going from here to here. And I can just fill this one in. In this case, I think I might actually use this one eye for both. Modify, convert to symbol, eye. I realize how long this is, and if you're still here, I appreciate you still being around. I'm going to try and make this eye a little bit rounder than its original because I want to make sure that I can go side to side and everything else. So in this case, just going to make this a little bit rounder. And once that's done, I can add a little bit of a small round area for the eye. I think in this case, I'll actually just kind of paint that around. Oop. There we go. And again, make a little eye area for the eye shine. And the eye shine, of course, is going to be filled in with either white or something similar to that. Oops. Looks like it might not have been completely closed. Well, if it ends up being a little bit too much, again, you could basically kind of bring this up like so. And let's see if I brown this out. Oh, cool. Original color still here. So this area I might have to actually paint up myself. There we are. Perfect. Oh, except for this area, just need to blacken that out. Bang. Okay. So not too shabby. Looks a little strange here, but this is one of the reasons why we're going to test this to make sure it works in the eye. Modify, convert to symbol, pupil. All right, so let's give this, so again, it's not a bad idea to always give new elements a try before calling it a day. So I can move this to my left a little bit, move it to my right a little bit. Haha, awesome. Okay, and this is one of the reasons why having a pupil can be good, but it also could be a bit of a pain in the butt if you make the actual pupil itself a little on the big side. But at the very least, I can move this around. I can move this up a little bit. I can move this down a little bit. That's basically kind of what I want in this case. well, finished pretty much what I want to do for this for now. Just try to get all the different pieces you can. It will give you more options in terms of animation, but hopefully you found that this was actually educational and helpful for what we're going to be doing. If any of you do have any questions or comments, you can email me, and of course I'll be happy to answer those the best that I can. But that's pretty much most of the stuff that I wanted to show. So again, this is Professor Stefan. Hopefully this can help you with what you need to do, and I'll see you all on the next one.